Hello there! Welcome to my channel, Breakthrough Awakening, where you receive powerful tips and tools to live an amazing life. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the 3 types of anger. Because anger is such a misunderstood emotion. We are often afraid of our own anger, and we don't know how to relate to it. We tend to suppress it, we tend to think of it as bad, but not all types of anger are bad. There are some that are actually good for you. So the 3 types of anger are temper tantrums, anger from the violation of your boundaries, and the sacred rage from the violation of your own heart virtue or your soul print, which I will dive into later on in this video. But I want to start off with talking about temper tantrums. The first kind is temper tantrums. Those come from your childhood wounds and your subconscious negative programming and your limiting beliefs that come from your childhood. Note that these kind of beliefs are subconscious and emotional, so you may logically and intellectually know that these beliefs are not true. Beliefs such as I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough, etc. But you may believe them anyways because they're in your subconscious. And how this works is through what I call the cycle of suffering or the flow of suffering. Usually an event happens that's neutral. For example, I used to get really mad if I send a text to somebody and I don't get a response back on the same day. And I would go off on this person and be like, how dare this person not respond to me? Or this person's a jerk or an asshole. Or it might go the opposite way and be more like, did I do something wrong? And I would just go on and on in my head. And sometimes I would actually send angry follow-up texts to this person, when in reality I could have given this event different meanings that are more neutral, such as maybe their phone died, maybe they were in a meeting, maybe they were just busy. Now we can go even further than this. The only reason why I was able to give this event multiple meanings is because it has no meaning. Because if it had a meaning, I couldn't give it any other meaning. So that's the paradox there, right there. No meaning because it has infinite meanings. And then we can go even further. If this event has no meaning, then it cannot affect me in any way. But really the beauty of this inquiry is to go even deeper than this and ask myself, wait a minute, why did I give this event a negative meaning in the first place? One way to find out is to ask myself, why does this bother me? And to just keep asking myself that question again and again. Why does this bother me? At first I might get shallow answers like, oh, this person's a jerk. Why does that bother me? Oh, now I'm feeling like I'm not respected. Why does this bother me? Well, now I'm feeling like I'm not worthy of respect. Aha! Here's where we're getting. We're getting somewhere. We're getting into the limiting belief, which is I'm not worthy of respect. I believe that anyways, and I was using the event to validate my belief, which actually came from my childhood. Now I have an opportunity to really heal it and remove this belief forever. Either with the coach, it's best to do this with the coach, especially if you're in the beginning stages of your journey on this path. I did it with a coach. But eventually you will know how to do this yourself to remove these beliefs. So even the temper tantrum kind of anger is very useful for you because it tells you your limiting beliefs. It reveals to you where your hurt is, where your childhood wounds are. So even that is actually kind of good for you. And it can be dissolved by locating the meaning and then the belief and then removing them. Now the second type of anger comes from the violation of your boundaries. This anger is very natural and very good for you because it tells you that a boundary has been violated. So it is only natural for you to feel angry when your boundary has been violated. So this gives you an opportunity to re-establish that boundary. This is why it's really important to ask yourself whenever you're angry, what has been violated? What needs to be protected? What needs to be restored? Those are really great questions to ask yourself, besides the first question, which is true for every negative emotion, which is, what is the message here? What is the message you want me to know? So a boundary violation can be, for example, if somebody is punching you or about to punch you, it is only natural to get angry. And it's not just the physical punches, even the verbal and emotional punches or the emotional abuse that goes on. Even in those circumstances, it's very natural for you to be angry. And now I'm going to go into the third type of anger. The third type of anger, I call it raw rage or sacred rage. That comes from the violation of your core integrity, also known as your heart virtue, or sometimes I call it your soul print. So before I even get into the sacred rage, I want to explain what your core integrity or the term heart virtue means to you, because it's hard to understand sacred rage without even understanding what heart virtue means. So your heart virtue, which is the deepest part of your heart, your core integrity, is your deepest value that is so deeply meaningful to you that every time you experience it or embody it or express it, you're literally moved to tears and you have these goosebumps all over your body. It is your deepest value that you were born with, that is completely non-negotiable, that you're even willing to die for. Your other values can change because they come from society, from media, from religion, from your parents, etc. But this one doesn't come from any of that. It comes from you. You were born with this. And that's why it's completely non-negotiable. That's why you're even willing to die for it. And that's why the flip side of it is that you will feel raw rage or sacred rage every time your heart virtue has been violated. That rage comes from you being committed to something so beautiful that got violated. And really what differentiates you from the heroes of history that really evolved the human race and changed history, people like Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, they were living their heart virtue. For example, Martin Luther King Jr.'s heart virtue was brotherhood. Mother Teresa's heart virtue was compassion. And indeed, Martin Luther King Jr. actually died for his heart virtue of brotherhood. And your heart virtue is actually very unique to you. If there are 7 billion people, then there are 7 billion heart virtues. For example, my heart virtue is that I am committed to experiencing divinity, sharing awakening, and bringing sovereignty back to all beings, now and forever. Other examples of heart virtues are the oneness of communion that destroys all barriers, co-creative joy that comes from true understanding of each other. You can see how specific and unique each one is from these examples. And so the sacred rage that comes from the violation of your heart virtue is never meant to be dissolved. Instead, it's meant to be channeled and used as fuel for your life purpose. Your life purpose is your heart virtue in action. And when it's channeled and used as fuel, it becomes passion. This is why it's very important to be really connected to your sacred rage, because you're going to be disconnected from your own passion if you're not connected to it. Let me give you an example. In my own life, because I'm committed to awakening, I do feel a certain amount of sacred rage whenever somebody behaves towards me from their unawakened programming, which pretty much is everyone on some level. And this is why I do the work I do, of really awakening as many people as I can and really deprogramming them, getting them away from their programming and their childhood wounds into stepping into their awakened self of who they really are at their core as this infinite being of pure power and confidence. Another example is a friend of mine. He's a passionate career coach, and he feels sacred rage about all these corporations that are underpaying their employees. So he channels it into fuel for his passion and his life purpose of being a career coach. What he does is he teaches you your own value, but from a very grounded place. It's not a spiritual airy-fairy place. He actually teaches you how much money you've made all your previous employers, so that you can use that knowledge to ask for a raise or get a better job. It's surprisingly effective and very powerful. Like, I actually once co-coached a client with him, and the light bulbs just went off in her, and she was like, whoa, I actually made my employer all this money. So that's another powerful example. So to recap, there are these 3 types of anger: temper tantrums, anger from violation of boundaries, and sacred rage. How to relate to sacred rage is to discover your heart virtue, or your soul print, or your core integrity, and learn how to channel your sacred rage into fuel for your life purpose. How to relate to the anger from the violation of your boundaries is to ask yourself what has been violated, what needs to be protected, and then work to re-establish that boundary. And how to relate to the temper tantrums that come from your childhood wounds and subconscious limiting beliefs is to ask yourself, what is the meaning I'm giving to this event? What is the limiting belief that's causing this meaning? And then get a coach to remove those limiting beliefs. So that's a recap. Thank you so much for watching this channel. Subscribe to this channel, and also subscribe to my website at blissgasm.com, where you will receive even deeper, powerful tools and tips to live an amazing life. I love you all. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.